Good morning, everyone. My name is Tamas Szirtes. I'm from SAP People. Webinar about SAP Leonardo. So as you see in the title, I will talk about what is new, what makes it new, what does it really mean, a digital innovation, and what makes it a system. So it's a half an hour webinar, as you know, and in the webinar window, you see a chat functionality. So feel free to ask your questions during this webinar. I'm not going to be able to see your questions while I'm presenting, but I will leave some time at the end for Q&A, and I will all your points there. All right, so let's get started a little bit about myself. I have 20 years SAP experience. I always work on the new side of SAP, whatever was new during these 20 years. My role inside SAP People is to focus on innovation, and well, SAP Leonardo is obviously one of the biggest areas next to cloud platform and S4HANA, to mention the main ones. As an SAP mentor, I have the privilege to work very closely with SAP itself, with product management and executives in the different product areas. And well, I've been awarded the title SAP Distinguished Engineer, and I'm very active in the VNSG, that's a Dutch user group, where I'm a chairman in the area of user experience. Okay, but let's get into Leonardo. So first I will introduce you to Leonardo, probably in a little bit different way than what you have heard before, if you have heard before. Then I will focus on what is actually included in Leonardo, what are the solutions, and what can be achieved with these solutions. The last chapter is our advice, how it can be utilized for your own business. Maybe if you see the solution, chapter 2, then you will see a lot. And then the question is, what is a way to actually get started small and grow from there. And as I mentioned, I leave a few minutes to the end for your questions. Okay, so what is SAP Leonardo? Let's start from the basics. No, this is the definition SAP gives to it. It's a digital innovation system for rapid, scalable transformation. Okay, the digital innovation system, once I will tell you what is included, that will make sense. Of course, we are talking about new technologies here, like Internet of Things, or big data, or machine learning. And there are a lot of companies out there who provide such technologies. No, obviously not SAP is the only one. This is the big trend of today's IT world. So there is a huge competition. Basically, all IT vendors have some offering in this space. What makes Leonardo different is that it allows you to start small, because you can start with individual small services and grow your solution, grow your landscape there, and it allows you to scale up because it is integrated in the SAP landscape. So it's not a if you take let's say the example, you take a machine learning service from whichever vendor. Yes, maybe you can start small, but then how will you integrate it in your SAP solution? That will probably slow down your progress. But here you start on a platform which is already foreseen to be integrated with all the SAP solutions. So that's what makes Leonardo unique. So what is it? What is it? There are different ways of looking at it. Of course, it's technology. We have to start from there. There are some technology services, and some of them are new. No, that's why Leonardo is new. Part of it is machine learning, Internet of Things, analytics, blockchain, big data, data intelligence, and these are services which are technically running on the SAP Cloud Platform. Probably you know, on the SAP Cloud Platform there are more than 50 services. things like mobile integration, user experience, and many more. Some of these services are included in this Leonardo portfolio. But a lot of times, these Leonardo services are used in combination with other services as well. But it's not only technology, it's also process, focus, industry solutions, reusable practices, accelerators, and even concrete products which you can actually buy from SAP. So this is important. On the one hand, technology, and on hand, industry-specific accelerator best practices and even products. But that's still not enough. The third component is design thinking, which is a methodology. So this is let's say, the soft part of Leonardo, where we all recognize that if you take some brand new cutting-edge technology, it's hard to map that to your current way of working, your current business. Everybody is busy in today's life. And the question is how to think openly, how to innovate, how to brainstorm about the next steps your coming years ahead. So design thinking is a methodology, innovation, ideation methodology, which supports creative thinking. And that is very useful in this Leonardo portfolio. No? It's not just technology and the process knowledge, but also a methodology of how to apply that. And eventually, let's be honest, it's also a brand. SAP has a clear strategy to position itself as an innovation company, not just an ERP company, as maybe has been known in the last years and decades. And this brand helps SAP to be clear on the market for the customers that there is this portfolio. It's thought through, it's integrated, and it is specially designed for the edge scenarios, additional innovation on top of the core. And the core is, of course, ERP and nowadays S/4HANA. All right. So if I tell you like this, then, okay, you understand that there are some new technologies involved here in Leonardo, and it sounded that they are all, equally important. But actually, I would like to show you an analysis from a business point of view. Technology is all great. I love these technologies, but from a business point of view, there is a difference. So I'm relying here on studies done by IDC. They estimated the global spending for 2025, so in 3 years from now. And if you see one of the Leonardo technologies, blockchain, then the market is expected to be $10 billion. That's quite a sizable market. But if you compare it to artificial intelligence, which includes machine learning, then you see that it's already 6 times bigger. If you take the next one, which I call now big data analytics, which in terms of the Leonardo, the official SAP language, that's a combination of data intelligence, big data, and analytics. These 3 things are very related. I will explain them in more detail. If you take that market, then you see it's, again, a big category bigger. And now, I wonder if you can guess the next one. The next one will be, I think, an eye-opener in terms of size. It's the Internet of Things, which is 1,100 billion, more than $1 trillion. So this is really huge. And of course, we can think of why is it so much bigger than the others. IoT is a broad area. It covers many aspects. Here we are talking about things connected. So there is the hardware aspect, there is the integration aspect, and not only the software aspect. And also, to be fair, of course, things are very related. That's exactly what I would like to tell you in this presentation. That IoT will be used in combination with big data analytics and artificial intelligence. So, it's hard even to separate these topics completely. But still, if you look at this picture, the message is quite clear, no? That where the industry is really adopting, where the industry is moving, it's IoT is the biggest topic. So I think I don't need to explain more why. I will start with IoT. Why IoT is booming now? Well, of course, IoT is about connecting devices, but what is new now is that the devices became really cheap because of the mass production. So their availability increased a lot. Their affordability also, these sensors which are needed for IoT became really, really cheap, less than €1 or $1 nowadays. And technology, in terms of the communication networks and also in terms of the software platforms like Leonardo, they became so much mature. So these three components made IoT now really hot. And what you see that IoT can be really applied in basically any business. This is not even a complete list here, but you see that in heavy industrial applications, supply chain, predictive maintenance, these are very typical scenarios. Connected logistics, to track a fleet and track the products. In retail, to track the consumption of different products and the consumer behavior. Connected cars, we all know cars are getting connected to the internet, and they provide the services that way, not just to get from A to B, but all things around it. Cities are getting smarter, maybe the light management in the cities or traffic management. Healthcare, all these personal devices which are around there, and many examples for that. But now let's talk about what can actually this Leonardo IoT offering provide for us. There is one service called Internet of Things. That's the core of the offering, which provides the management of the devices. Possibly there will be hundreds and thousands of sensors out there, maybe in the cars, in Fitbits, or in any industrial machines. Connectivity has to be managed from the sensor to the platform, how the messages are exchanged. So maybe in a predictive maintenance scenario, you want to measure the temperature, humidity, maybe movement of the machine, so that message has to come to the platform. Then there is a big topic around here called digital twin. The idea is that each physical object, so let's take still the example of a factory machine, that's a physical object, can have a digital representation in Leonardo, and in that digital representation, all information about that object is there. All sensor data is linked. So in a system, you can examine the whole life cycle of that device and manage each aspect of the life cycle from the very beginning, from the design to the maintenance and the whole until decommissioning. Then, of course, it also provides application development, because based on the data you collect from the IoT, you want to develop your intelligent applications, and of course, you want to analyze the data. But what I mentioned, that yes, this is the core, this is the service, but a lot of times we combine services from Leonardo to provide one solution. So one thing which is obviously needed is storage. Data is coming in from the devices, data has to be stored, so there is another service for that. Then DevOps, all the toolings, technologies which support the development of applications is there. Analytics, that's always maybe the most exciting part of IoT. You have a lot of data, but you have to make sense of it. So there is the analytics service for that. Integration, because once you find some patterns in your data, then you want to take some action based on that. You want to have an integrated scenario where IoT devices trigger some action in your systems, and okay, there you have to do integration. In the end, in a new application, the user experience is always important, which nowadays is a lot of times a mobile user experience. And then I mentioned that you do analytics. Maybe your business analysts will do the analytics, but you can also automate a lot of steps with machine learning. And I will talk about that in the coming chapter. And of course, security. No, data is moving around inside and outside your landscape, so that has to be secured. So altogether, this to me, that's what we have as a toolkit, which is available for us to build innovative applications based on IoT. And then if you look into the box, what is actually inside the SAP box, then and if we go from bottom up, you see at the bottom of the slide the SAP Cloud Platform. I mentioned that's the underlying technology platform. Then on top of that, there are some basic IoT services, to get the device registered, to get the data in, and model the digital twin. Then there are these vertical solutions, and here are some of them. So, for example, connected assets, maybe a manufacturing line, maybe robots. Connected people is all the healthcare or home automation. I will mention many more examples later. On the top, there is the IoT Bridge, which is a software which is kind of like a dashboarding solution where you combine the different screens, different data coming in, different analytics in one coherent application. And in the lower left corner, you see IoT Edge computing. And maybe that's a more technical component there. The idea is that you can have some kind of a gateway between your devices, your sensors, and the Leonardo platform. And that gateway in between can already do some pre-processing if you would like, or maybe manage the connectivity. Maybe you don't want thousands of devices, each of them directly communicating with the cloud platform, but you can have often a local, or well, it can also be in the cloud, but a lot of times a local gateway which collects data, does some pre-processing, and then sends the data to the platform. Then I would like to tell you about something I think very unique. An offering which we developed together with T-System. I already introduced you to the components of a typical IoT solution, where you have devices which measure something. Then you have some connectivity. These devices have to connect to the Leonardo platform, and then, of course, then the real things happens once you connect to your backend system. ERP or S4, doesn't matter. Here, even older versions of ERP are possible to be used. And what we realized that this is actually a different SAP project than what we are used to. No, we have, as SAP people, we have done lots of SAP projects in the last 10 years. IoT is different in a sense that it's not only software related, which we master, but there is a lot of hardware and connectivity aspects to it, which we don't master that much. And that's why we started a partnership with T-Systems, which have a very strong offering in this space. They have especially very strong offering in the narrowband IoT offering. Okay, in terms of big data analytics, there is always a need to process data. No, you collect a lot of data from IoT, from our other sources, and what SAP has a very big, comprehensive, integrated solution called SAP HANA Data Management Suite. On one hand, it can handle the typical SAP data sources from ERP, from S4HANA, but also external data sources. Of course, it relies on HANA, that I don't think it surprises you, but it can also combine non-SAP databases or data stores. Like Hadoop is used very much in this application area, and what it adds additional services on top of that based on the cloud platform for data discovery, data governance, and the whole orchestration layer in SAP Data Hub. This is a big topic on itself, but I just wanted to mention to you this actually very big area, because yeah, the data management is very important for new innovative applications. Then I'm reaching my last area, which I would like to go into a little bit deeper: machine learning. Machine learning, let's start with that, because everybody hears it and everybody hears about artificial intelligence, machine learning, but what is really machine learning? Let's start with what is traditional programming. Traditional programming, software development programming, we all know that, even if we are not developers. You take a computer, you have to write a program, some development, and you do it in Java or ABAP or whichever language. You provide some data to this program, and it will come up with some results. Now that's programming. Machine learning actually turns it upside down. Machine learning basically means that the computer is doing some learning without being explicitly programmed. So we are not doing the programming as in traditional programming. Machine learning comes in two steps. First, learning, and then it does the prediction. I will give you an example of image recognition, which is an easy one. So imagine there is an image, a photo, and the machine has to say, is it a woman or a man? Very simple scenario. First, it has to do learning, and then it can do this prediction. So the way it works, you provide a lot of sample data, so a lot of photos of people, and then you say, this is a man, this is a woman, this is a man, this is a woman. You provide all that information to the computer, and the computer builds a model. And then that model can be used to do the prediction. So once you provide new images, so let's say initially you provided maybe a few thousand photos, and now you give a new one to the computer, new data, then it will say, is it a man or is it a woman, based on the learning it went through. So that's in very high level machine learning. And the good news that even though it's actually a difficult topic, no? It relies on some heavy mathematics and statistics, and the good news is that we don't have to master that. SAP is embedding these technologies in the standard SAP software. So as a customer, you are able to make use of this machine learning without actually understanding what is under the hood. And you see that it's being rolled out in all areas: finance, marketing, sales, service, and so on. So if you take finance, this cash application, it's in S/4HANA, and what it does, that if you have incoming payments, you match it with open postings, and the system automatically can do the matching. The manual interaction is reduced. Or if you take marketing or brand impact, imagine your brand is used in advertisements, even in physical placement of your logo and branding. This brand impact application can analyze and precisely measure how often, how long your brand appears. At the moment, before this application, it had to be done really by humans actually watching these recordings. In human resources, I can take the example of resume matching. So you have a job opening, you get CVs, resumes submitted, and the system can analyze it and advise, is it a close match? Do you need to interview the person, or maybe not needed at all? One example I would like to zoom in more here is Copilot. Copilot is a digital assistant. It's part of S/4HANA. It's part of the Fiori Launchpad, so it's based on Fiori, and it uses machine learning heavily. And I think it's a very nice, very generic machine learning application. Basically, it's if you know Siri or Google Assistant, it's something like that. You can talk to it, so it understands natural language, and it can give you answers. It understands your data in your SAP system, so you can ask for a certain purchase order, and it knows what a purchase order is. If you say, can you look up an order? Then it will ask you, what do you mean order? Do you mean sales order? Do you mean purchase order? And actually, even based on your roles, if you have, let's say, if you are a sales rep, then it will know that an order for you is a sales order. So there is even that intelligence in the system. So it's a very nice application. It's part of S/4HANA, and it uses a lot of machine learning to understand the questions you are asking and provide the information from SAP. So let me give you a few examples of Leonardo, very briefly. Stara is a famous manufacturer from Brazil of agricultural machines. They added sensors to their machines, and that way they can optimize the amount of fertilizers they are using, and that is really a huge win in operational efficiency. A nice example I really like is Volvo. We all know the company as a car manufacturer, but they are realizing that with the introduction of autonomous cars, their future is to provide additional value to the customers. So they are thinking about becoming an entertainment company to provide that service in the car. Caterpillar, again, a large manufacturer, they completely transformed their manufacturing thanks to IoT. They built what they call the smart factory, where a lot of things are automated with robots. A lot of things are measured, and they can even do predictive maintenance on devices. So you see the combination of IoT with big data management in this example. Something completely different in a whole other sector. Buenos Aires is famous for its underground rivers, which have been given a lot of troubles to the city, floodings. Now they introduced sensors all across the city, and since that there have been no flooding, so it's really a big impact for such a large city. InCor, I love this example. It's a heart hospital where they collect a lot of data. So it's a very nice big data scenarios. They collect the data about the patients. They build a nice mobile app, which is available for the doctors and the nurses. So when they talk to the patients, they really talk based on facts there. And they are also using machine learning to suggest treatments for the doctor. So eventually it's always the doctor who decides, but the doctor gets a lot of advice from actual data analysis. I like it because this scenario, it's because of the user experience and the smart background, it really changes the way of working in this hospital. And then finally, Red Bull, again, a company which we all know, they added sensors to their fridges, which are at the retailers, and that way they can analyze the usage of the fridges, which of course means also the usage of the drinks, and make sure that the retailers provide the best service, so that the fridges are full and the drinks are at the right temperature. All right, so many examples. I could talk for many more time, but I would like to focus on how we can help you to get started. There are basically two simple ways. One is what we call a digital transformation workshop, where we together with your C-level executives, we look into where your company is going, what are your plans in terms of business development for the coming 3 years, and from there we derive how technology can help you. So that's really a strategic workshop, a top-down approach. And in contrast, there is a bottom-up approach, where maybe you don't want to have such a discussion about the long term. You just want to really identify 1, 2, 3 very concrete cases where you see the possibility to develop a business case, and we help you in that process. So what we think is important here is, of course, this view on what are the possibilities, which maybe it will take some time to realize all that, but actually to start small. So it starts with an idea. We help with generating the ideas, and then build the prototype. That's very important. So instead of making big plans and large projects, we provide a prototype within 1 or 2 weeks. Based on that, you can fine-tune your business case and then start the iterative gradual development. So we provide this innovation coaching, how to get an idea to something tangible within 2 weeks, which helps you to really understand, and you can present to your internal stakeholders and get the ball rolling. All right, and my last message before we go to the Q&A, that we actually also provide a one-day workshop where we can go in more details and discover your use cases for Leonardo. All right, and with that, yeah, I would like to thank you for listening, and I will now stop sharing my screen to see what questions you posted in the webinar. And I would also like to bring your attention our polls. So in the upper right corner, you see a tab called polls. So please make your vote. It will help us to get an understanding of your interest. Okay, I see one question. You mentioned each machine on the shop floor having internet connectivity. Does this mean that this will make PLC level monitoring systems obsolete? No, actually, interesting question in terms of industrial IoT. No, the idea is to integrate with these systems, so not to replace them. So on machine level, no, there are a lot of possibilities already there. The idea is to integrate that. And here we are talking about possibly additional SAP solutions like manufacturing execution and MII, and those can be, let's say, the link between your infrastructure, which already has, of course, monitoring systems, and your SAP landscape. And the idea is to have it integrated so that you know, from high-level management, you can go drill down to the concrete machines, and information from the concrete machines has a real impact on your business processes, which are in SAP. So that's the only question I see here. Feel free to add more, or just simply unmute yourself and ask it live. Okay, I see a next one. Cache application in the current available machine. Can you elaborate? How does it work? Okay, so I can tell you a lot. I think in terms of time in this webinar, we are not going to be able to do that. I have a whole presentation about that. I'm happy to follow up with you, with Vincent. Do we need a backend running S4 to think about Leonardo project? Very important point. No, definitely not. Leonardo doesn't require S4 HANA. That's a good thing. So Leonardo is basically, as you can see, it as cloud platform technologies, and cloud platform integrates with ERP as well. So that's a good thing. You don't have to migrate to S4 HANA first. It is possible to start with the Leonardo project even without S4. All right, I think we are out of time, so I would like to thank you for your attention. I'm still here, so if you have a question, then you can still edit. I will stay here for a few more minutes. But for the other ones who have to jump to the next meeting, then I would like to thank for your attention, and hopefully see you next time as well. Bye-bye.